a faint refrain. Coffee brews and thoughts collide in this early morning ride. Wake up world, let's start the day. Insight flows in a bright array. Questions dance like morning dew. In this space, it's me and you. Coffee chats with Melissa. Every cup is a whisper. Conversations open doors. Spilling thoughts forevermore. Ideas bubble crisp and bright. Words take flight in morning light. Consult the heart, make it sing. New perspectives on each wing. Another cup of cheer. Every thought becomes so clear. From stations and bubbling streams, waking up to brand new dreams. Coffee chats with Melissa. Every cup is a whisper. Conversation.
Okay, well, good morning, guys. How are you? It is Saturday. I can't believe it feels like forever. I took some time off, right? And I'm ready to get back. I really am. I've been kind of in my brain with all these things at work and home and life and news. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. So I just figured, let's slow it down. Let's go back to what we know. Let's get into why we're on this platform. If you're not sure, guys, what platform I'm referring to, I'm talking about LinkedIn. LinkedIn has been my priority for quite some time. If you've been following me, you know this, right? And I am broadcasting out to Facebook and YouTube as well. And so I just wanted to be clear, guys, we're going to talk about one of my favorite platforms out there. I came together with some friends last year, a really kick-ass publisher, and we did a trilogy as a group. A lot of really great professionals coming together to share their story about a networking platform. And so I'm going to share my chapter today, but I wanted to just welcome you all. I actually remembered to unmute my mic this morning. Are you guys proud? I'm proud. I'm proud. That's the first step to starting to have people come on my show now. So I'm really excited to get this started. But hi, right? If you guys are new to the show, my name is Melissa Houston. I am the cultivator of dreams and motivator of human capital. And what that really means is I like to help people like you figure out what they want to be when they grow up and then get a plan together, get some accountability going to help you get there. The tools are different for everybody. The way we move forward is different for everybody. The one thing I can promise will always happen is we'll talk about the Venn diagram, how we get from here to there. We'll talk about a to-do list. You'll get texts and go, hey, did you get the thing? You'll get calls. Hey, did you do the thing? And you'll call me saying, hey, I need help to do this. And so kind of the long and short of who I am and what I do. I could never explain it all because I really am kind of the Swiss Army knife of coaching and consulting. I have been a recruiter. I have been a certified staffing professional. I have run a few businesses. I have been in charge of operations for a few organizations, right? And so my background varies. I've also been a sales and marketing person my entire career. It's how I started, is connecting people, talking to people, connecting with people to connect them to the product they need that they may never have even heard about yet. So kind of my backstory. You want to learn more, go check out my profile, make sure you're following, go over to LinkedIn, figure it out. But other cool thing, guys, is the connecting part, right? Because this is a networking book. This is about going to the internet, reaching out into the abyss and bringing connections in. And so that's not always easy, right? Some of us have figured this gift out. It is a gift. It's a gift that gives every day, but others struggle. And so we're here all the time sharing. And I say we because the people in this book, in this trilogy, in this series, there's 3 there, 12 stories in each, shared their perspective, their journey, their steps, their experiences to get to where they are today. And so I just wanted to put a voice to mine. I'm a big fan of audiobooks. I don't know if you guys are. Definitely let me know in the comments section. Do you like audiobooks? Do you listen in? My favorite kind of audiobook is a biographical novel, right? Like something autobiographical, something about them that is told in their own voice. Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. It's one of my favorite examples of that. His voice just telling the story. It's almost like you guys are sitting around the back fire pit in his backyard or something, just shooting the breeze with a neighbor. And for me, and I'm not going to speak for you, but for me, when I hear the author read their story, not only does it give them voice, I make sure I hear that tone, right? It feels like a conversation. And so that's the other part is this is going to YouTube. This will live here forever. And so hopefully, right, we're not going to get in trouble and get it to be erased by any means. But my hope is when my kids miss me, when my clients are in a bad way and they can't call necessarily, if you're just having a down moment, you need something to listen to while you scrub your toilet. I don't care what the purpose is. I just want it to live there to be accessible, right? So that said, let's get into what this is. I want to say good morning first. This show is about a bunch of my people, my humans, I hang out with, collaborate with, do things with on the internet worldwide, all over the globe, doing different things, different ways, sometimes very comparably, right? But we all come together to help each other grow. We network, we send referrals, we motivate each other, we ask good questions, we share knowledge. And so knowing that that's the platform and network that I'm hanging out in most of my time, I just want you to understand that this trilogy never meant to show up in. It was the first writing experience I had as a professional with grownups that were going to be published, right? Something that is in book form forever on the shelf of anybody who purchased it. And I was really scared to align with so many humans on a brand. And I won't get into the why, because that's not really why we're here. But not too deep anyway, if you can just look into the news today, people who were once friends maybe don't always get along. Maybe it gets ugly in the future. And I'm not accountable for everybody else, but I have to be accountable for my actions with others in case something should go wrong, right? I don't want to go down in history forever, ever with the wrong alignment. I just don't want to be looked at that way. I don't know about you guys, but I really care about my brand. I care about what people think. I'm very secure in one myself. I can move on if you don't like me, but I want to like me at the end. I want to look myself in the mirror and know I did exactly what I meant to do in a way that I'm proud of, in a way that I can like keep moving forward, even if it's just I'm proud I got the giggle that day, right? Maybe it wasn't the perfect act. Maybe I was goofy. Maybe I was out having a Jim Carrey moment where he's just doing some slapstick. You know, there's no grace in that sometimes unless you're extending the grace to the human by being the reason they laugh, right? And so, guys, there's a bunch of ways you can play, but that's really my premise. And so when you come together with so many other people, it's a risk. But I think everybody who showed up presented themselves, their story, were transparent, were honest, were, connecting and inspiring each other, really did it to help. And so I want to give a voice to my chapter, but if you want to learn more, guys, this is on Kindle. You can go find it. If you have the unlimited, I think it's free. I'm not sure, publisher or somebody, one of the other co-authors, which if you're a co-author, go say, hey, I'm in that trilogy. Just announce yourselves, guys. It's out there on Amazon. I know a few of my friends have already started to sell their signed copies. If you're interested in a signed copy, let me know. I am going to be moving into that soon. It's not available today, but I thought, what a cool thing. I've always wanted a signed copy of a book by an author. Now I have a bunch of friends who are authors and I get to have them sign it as we meet. And so I just wanted to extend that to you as well. Not a pitch necessarily, guys, but if you want one, let me know. We'll figure it out. So with that said, let me say hi to some of the people I see down here before we go too far, because, oh my gosh, you guys are blowing up the comments this morning. Good morning, Jackie. I see you. Aaron Gibson, good morning. Thank you again for that song, man. I know Felipe said it was a great one, and I jam. I was dancing in my chair. Where is everybody watching from, guys? Tell me where you are. I love to know how early it is for you versus me. And it is 6:12 a.m. Pacific coast of the United States. We are about to get into this. But have you read the book? That's another thing I want to know. Did you read it? Did you buy it? Do you own it? Should I sign it for you when we meet? We got a plan to meet. I'm not going to show every comment everywhere, guys, because, I'm not a big fan of this, but you guys keep talking to each other. Connect. Hey, this is the publisher, guys. This is the one. So if you're interested in writing your own story, thinking about writing a book one day, you want to get some fun going in your own life, something to inspire others, that's the gal I would recommend. Nick is a phenomenal publisher. She gives you a ton of grace, but she's also firm in her expectations and her requirements, and it gets the job done. I'm not promising she'll get you the international bestseller status that my friends and I received on both of the books that I was published in. But guys, she's done it. So could she do it again? I think so. I don't know. Right. I'm going to get into it though, guys. David Pushkin, welcome. I see you too. All right. So here's where we're at. We are going to get into this trilogy. The trilogy is called A People First Professional Networking Platform. I'm going to show it here. See how cool that is? It's covering up my face a little bit. That's cool. I dig it. These are the people on the back of the cover. I know it's kind of a crappy photo, guys. I wasn't real. I was last second throwing it together. But you know these faces. If you know the face, tag them. Tag them so they get credit for writing in the books too, right? I wanted to bring every one of the covers up. I didn't get it done in time, but I just wanted to show you guys that's me in the book. We're going to be reading through that. I'm going to get back to a better display because I want to, and we're going to get into it. But please keep dropping the comments. I will try to come back as often as I can to read for you guys, but or to check in on the comments. But I want to get through this. We have a few pages. It's not a ton, but let's get in, okay? And then we'll dive in later. If you guys are wanting to join me on the stage to talk about your chapter, to talk about what you get from me reading my own, DM me on LinkedIn. When I get done reading, I will go in and start sending invites out to those who want to join the stage. All right, so let's go, guys. Chapter 9 by Melissa Houston. Rainy Day Dreams and LinkedIn Realities, the Power of Passion and Fun. Writing about this love affair with LinkedIn seemed like a simple enough task when I opted in. It felt like an easy opening to becoming an author. I would be hidden between the pages of other stories, professionals at the top of their crafts, incredible humans with formal education, some previously published, some over and over again. That was a silly assumption of mine because nothing is easy. You see, I have a goal, a dream, a very specific one, and I always have. Fulfilling it means ending up on the pages of a book and doing it in a way aligned with who I am now and who I want to be. That takes structure for a gal like me. Rules. I implemented them on myself to ensure the journey was what I dreamed it would be, even down to the weather. Growing up in Arizona, I often dreamed of Washington, specifically the green trees, mountains, and ocean. Every time I would picture myself holding a cup of something hot, usually coffee, tea, or cocoa, writing while the rain hit the window pane. Sometimes in these visions, I would write at my desk as I gazed out of the window between taps on the keyboard. Sometimes I would see the image of me snuggled on the bench seat next to a huge window, covered in my blanket, with a pen and paper in hand. Luckily, today's weather is typical of the Pacific Northwest, dreary and overcast, a perfect setting for a day like this. My dream come true. As I write this, I'm in the state I longed for, doing the exact thing I dreamed of, with a laptop by a picture window, watching the rain fall outside. I'm reflecting on those days, the dreaming I did, the young girl dreaming, and why it all meant so much to her. How did I get here? You see, this book is about a professional who came to LinkedIn intending to grow a business, a recruiting firm more precisely, and stayed for more than a decade. How I began on LinkedIn is certainly not how I roam the LinkedIn street these days. I operate under different rules and operated under different rules. Sorry, guys, I'm still waking up. Until it all changed in 2020. I decided to turn my compliance-focused, white paper-esque profile into the likes of an elementary school classroom on the most significant professional platform in the world. Impact. It is the theme of this book beyond the platform itself. There are a few ways to use this word, and the first examples that spring to mind are one of a car colliding into another, a thunderstorm imposing on a picnic in the park, or the influence to change outcome with your actions or words. Those in the last role are often good at making a point and doing so to sway the room they are speaking to. In contemplating my impact, I feel most like the last example as my mind circles back to coffee chats, audio events, and their impact on my life and those around me. These spaces, especially the ones I host and co-host, remind me of a mix of a radio talk show, a phone party line, an online chat room, and a networking event, all wrapped into small circles of profile photos and voices in a meeting space. Virtual rooms that work to cover topics both personal and professional. Some are about the platform and how to use it. Some are about careers and growth. And some have even covered our favorite ice cream flavors and Sesame Street characters. It means little when taken at the surface level, but when combined, it is the recipe for success on the platform I love most. Those actions and conversations created the moments that allowed me to join this book, create new collaborations, to make incredible friendships. Without LinkedIn, I would not be in this collaboration book or in this trilogy. At the beginning of my LinkedIn experience, I would connect with business leaders who would help make my sales role more effortless, and with decision makers who could move me closer to a closed contract for staffing and recruiting services. Following someone on the platform back then meant I could keep up with local insights and news of the businesses around me. I admit I was there for profit. It worked too. For the longest time, that is precisely how my life worked at work. Then a shift. I left my role, left the state of Nebraska, and moved to Washington to return to life as a solopreneur. I consulted businesses on growth, marketing, and compliance. Again, I happily chugged along in this new life that I had created. Not that it was perfect, because there is no such thing, but it felt close. Then there was the pandemic. The shifts that came with it changed everything. Things started to slow down, and my role as a consultant was to rectify that. I quickly shifted back to being active on LinkedIn, using it once again, connect with new clients, that I wanted to service, staffing and healthcare, the two industries that were still actively hiring. Something COVID had drastically changed for many others. The plan was to work the DMs and eventually get to the chat that would save them money and time. Always a winning combo when selling a service. This time, though, it was different. Gone now were the old post, conversations, and white paper-esque ways. The new LinkedIn was busy, active, and social, and it didn't take long for me to want to dive into that place. To make those connections, become active within a community again, even from the comfort of my home. Heck, especially so. Social Saturday posts were created. An incredible leader, Victoria, introduced me to this creative connection post that helped others find their ideal connections on one thread. She showed up with structure, asking people to format their responses to the same few questions. You could connect in the comments. I loved it. Her posts soon started breaking the platform. Those few hours a week when we would all come to engage would bog down the servers and cause a bit of havoc. She felt terrible and let me know she did. Did you really just admit to feeling guilty for helping LinkedIn grow to this point of breaking? I asked and continued. You do know that companies would pay heavily and do for this same kind of interest to be generated for their brands? Question mark. Right. She created a movement and I wanted to ensure she was mentioned as part of my journey. Coffee Chats with Melissa was placed on that particular day because of Victoria. Saturdays were my playtime, all thanks to her post and willingness to open her profile as a place to meet new people. Her actions motivated many to do the same. Saturdays got me moving, but the platform's creativity and energy had me hooked. I came back often throughout the week. LinkedIn has a perk many other platforms do not. Most businesses encourage you to be there. It's unlike other platforms that may be blocked by higher ups who want you focused. So it seemed like no matter when you found the time to show up, the whole world was there. Harnessing that energy, I showed up with crayons, glitter, and Venn diagrams with a new goal of helping others reach their goals. And I did so daily. Days became weeks, weeks became months, posting, commenting, connecting, and hosting calls or coffee chats of 15-minute sessions to meet new connections. I took 3 to 5 calls daily, 5 days a week. My network of followers went from 1,200 to 12,000, and I had earned 1.4 million impressions in 1 year. As my LinkedIn connections grew, so did my business income. It wasn't long until I was consistently landing a few new clients a week. One day, I opened my bank account to see over $10,000 in revenue earned in 24 hours. That day, I managed to earn more than I had in my entire first year of employment. This platform I loved and had committed to, engaged with, supported, fed, and cared for, was doing the same in return. This platform captured my heart, mind, and soul, and then it gave me financial security in an uncertain time for many. I had found my place and soon realized it needed me as much as I did it. I began openly offering my coaching services via clarity sessions and action plans to those ready for a shift. Some needed a new role or purpose, a life makeover, or to make themselves happy. One human, Gabe, a fellow author in this trilogy, came for business coaching and also got relationship clarity. He is now engaged to be married to his beautiful fiance. You should read his chapter so he can tell his story his way. Lauren came to me for a free clarity call. Soon, she had shifted and has since become a business owner. Watching her grow, her presence, and utilize this platform to its full potential has been an incredible experience. She hosts live events, has grown exponentially on LinkedIn, and is now someone I am grateful to call my friend. Omar thought LinkedIn had created an AI persona, me, to increase interest and platform engagement because I would have an answer to his questions moments after he messaged. We have since met in person for coaching, worked together doing criminal background checks, traveled to consult businesses on process improvement and marketing strategies, and my family helped him move. Somehow, I'm still not sure I've made him shift his thoughts on the AI part. As I typed that last sentence, I giggled a bit. Others came, like the mayor who needed a shift to a new industry after 2 successful terms, and members of the military who were transitioning to civilian life, educators who wanted to leave teaching for something safer with higher compensation packages. I helped parents returning to the workforce after being home with the family, and incredibly talented W-2 workers who felt undervalued or wanted something better. There were those eager to learn how to coach or consult in their crafts, business owners who wanted help with transition plans, businesses that needed help with leadership development, and firms needing help with marketing or sales. Others were being harassed by their bosses or given ultimatums and needed guidance. Solopreneurs, coach after coach, consultant after consultant, I told them how I brought in new clients. Human after human got clarity in our sessions by uncovering the overlap of passion plus skills to use as a guide moving forward. Circles everywhere. Life was good. Then my mother and largest client passed away in quick succession. I took a break to rest and mourn. When I returned, LinkedIn had implemented audio events. I planned an event to tell all of my network what had happened in that time away, the losses and the impact, and to do it in a private space with my closest connections. I did just that. But then something happened that I hadn't expected. It helped a lot, not only helping me, but also the attendees. From then on, it became a weekly event. My room sparked others, and it made an impact. That is still where I spend my time, as a person who came to this platform to make an income and instead made friendships. Started by making connections, then created shows and sowed seeds of curiosity and commitment to a new mindset. I found passion again by infusing passion back into the lives and careers of others. My rooms and the events I have co-hosted or guested on, and the rooms of the others in these books, create an impact one day, one topic, 1 week at a time. We hope these stories will bring some of that to your hands, heart, and home. We do so in the hopes that we will inspire you to start your own journey, whether on LinkedIn or not. Engage your passions, love your profession, be your best self, and encourage others as you grow. Victory and victim both start out the same. It's up to you how it ends. Something I wrote at 16 and believe wholeheartedly today. You can do anything you determine needs to be done. Movement without intention is action, but not always positive movement. Make sure you reassess often. You will write your story either way. So I recommend that before you begin anything, you first document, then act. Bio. Melissa Houston is a coach, consultant, and business professional focused on and committed to helping others. Her passion for personal and professional growth is evident in her work as the cultivator of dreams and motivator of human capital. Melissa works with fun, passion, inspiration, and actionable tools to help people act on their dreams and expand their visions. She describes herself as a little bit of Lisa Frank, Betty White, and Google in a blender, bringing creativity, experience, and resourcefulness to her work. She is dedicated to helping others build their networks and gain the skills required to elevate their careers and lives. As a host of numerous LinkedIn audio events, she specializes in coaching, consulting, and connecting her network while making the journey enjoyable. Guys, that's the chapter. Now listen, I got to tell you, it's so crazy to think that this just came out last year and those audio events are gone, right? But what'd you think? Where are you at? I want to go up to the top of the comments now because, like I said, I was ignoring you while I was reading. But wow, look it. Okay. Let's see. I missed the podcast thing. Deb says. Dave Pushkin says he loves audiobooks. Listen, I'm so proud to have some of my co-authors here. I know some new people that I'm going to be writing with have shown up in the comments. Have you read the book? What did you hear when I was reading it? Be honest. You could tell me, right? Did it resonate at all? Do you feel motivated to do a thing? Because honestly, I'm reading my co-authors' stories often. I'll just dive in when I can. Sometimes I do it from my cell phone because I do have the app on my phone. And it's been really nice to just kind of get to know them a little bit better, right? Not in a way that's scripted. I'm not saying everybody's scripted, but there are some shows out there that have very concise set questions and answer time, and they know what they're going to talk about and they stay on track. I'm not really good at that, if you haven't noticed. But we all share it our own way when we can get into our private space, rain tapping on the window. Maybe you're in a busy cafe. Maybe you write on the train. I used to do homework on the bus. You just never know where people show up, right? And so being able to hear it, read it, find out like what mattered to them on paper long enough, so much that they wanted to make sure it would last, right? To be in that cover. And so I just excited to hear your feedback, but let me catch up here. I have read your chapter many times, and each time I love it and resonates with me more and more. Thank you so much, Sharon. That's so cool. Richard, welcome. Guys, it's different because maybe, and I'm not saying I have it all the time, but maybe there is this perspective of authors have a lot of people reading their stories, right? You hear author and people go, oh, wow, they're well read. It's somewhere in my brain. Somebody's read the story, right? But I've been shocked to hear some of my co-authors' conversations with me, and me too, struggling to have our family engage in our stories, struggling to have our friends pick up the book and read it. And so then the other thought I had was, let me read my story on YouTube so my kids can listen. My grandchildren can listen. So if they want to hear the story, they can hear it in my voice. But at the same time, maybe it's easier to share with friends and family who haven't quite heard some of this stuff yet that you want them to hear, right? Maybe you have a connection who needs some inspiration and you hear something and it inspires you. Having a link makes it easier to share. So there's that too. But guys, you just got to show up with your story for it to help others. And I think that's the important message if I could give anything. If I had to Venn diagram every single idea and concept from all of the books, all of the co-authors in this specific trilogy, it's giving. So many of them give before they ever received. They showed up to just share what was already inside of them. Or as they grab new knowledge, they instantly said, hey, here's the notes from my last webinar. Check this out. This was cool, right? It can be very simple to share your story, but that you will write your story either way. You may have seen it in the intro, right? That's something I say a lot. And I truly believe it because life's going to happen. You can't pause it. You can't just wait and go, hold on, I'm not sure what I want to do next. Can I have a little bit to get a draft together, right? The draft is live. You're actively moving in it. And if you're not doing it with intention, with consideration, with assessment and boundaries and yeses you mean and nos you mean also, are you doing it your way? I mean, these are things to think about because for a long time, guys, as children, let's just go back to under 18. Your parents write it. They have a red pen and they can say you're grounded and that's it. Your whole schedule's done, right? They can write your whole summer timeline story to some extent, where you're going to be, how you're going to spend your day. But how you experience that is up to you. You can determine to enjoy the process or fight it the whole time, right? Think about the kid who's just screaming in Disneyland. And I'm not judging kids because kids only cry when they need something. And usually it's a nap at Disneyland, right? Us too. But imagine if you could make the decision to not be that person sometimes, right? Because I know as a grown-up, sometimes I feel that toddler coming in and I want to throw a tantrum and I choose not to. So maybe we can't control our environment or what's happening around us, but maybe we can control how we react to it. And part of that is your actions, your decisions, the stuff that will ripple throughout history, right? Being in a book is one of those things. The people we argue about, discuss, study in classrooms, they did this. They got it into a book. They wrote it down somewhere for us to then combine it into a book to teach later. And for me, I think that's so cool because everything that ever inspired me to date was somebody else's idea written down or spoken out loud is some kind of internal monologue that I had created, but then actually captured and pulled out of the brain to put on paper so it wasn't lost in the sauce, because I get a million ideas a day. I don't know about you guys. But it's that documentation part, that writing it down, making sure you stick to it, or you know yourself well enough to clearly define it for others, right? We talk about an elevator pitch on LinkedIn a lot. In business, you hear it a lot, especially in a networking event. So if you had to tell everybody who you are and what you do in no more than 3 sentences, drop it below, guys. What would you say? Mine is the cultivator of dreams and motivator of human capital. I help you figure out what you want to be when you grow up, and then get action plans and accountability to get it done, right? Simple and concise. Doesn't tell you enough. Marketing 101, it doesn't tell you enough to get it done by yourself maybe yet. You might not understand what the cultivator of dreams actually means on paper yet, but being able to have it in front of you makes you curious to learn or move away from, right? You get one or the other. And that's really what I want to engage with. If I'm on the platform, am I moving in closer, or am I pushing people away? And so your actions, your intentions, your movement, it matters. I also think you can have a ton of fun in the pool. Anybody ever swam before? Like, give me some emojis or hearts. Like, I can't see them, but it'll be cool for those watching. I grew up in Arizona, right? So we swam a lot, and you can have a ton of fun in the pool and splash and kick and do all these dives and whatever. Pretty low risk. But you can also splash the people next to you. You can also accidentally cannonball into somebody's forehead. Not recommended. And so the other thing I would ask you to think about is, how are your movements and actions affecting those around you? And guys, for me as a coach, I'm always doing this. It doesn't matter what's happening in the world. Assessment is happening. I have a Venn diagram. It naturally happens. We're all little bubbles and circles in my brain. The more you coach with me, the more you know that's just who I am, which is why the screen is so fitting. But I'm looking at life today, where I stand in my country, and I'm a little nervous about what I see, right? And I keep thinking, how do I address what's happening in public without offending? Because I know there are some very strong opinions, which I don't want to hear about in my comments today about your politics. I don't. But I do want to bring it up. How you move in this pool, in this thing we're going through, will affect others. Whether they're sitting on the sidelines and you cannonball and you just sprayed grandma and her hair, she spent $300 to get done for the party and the pictures. Or if you landed on little Timmy and now you're like, he's under you and you didn't mean to, you were just having a good time and you just thought it was a good idea to, jump in the pool. But are you assessing before you move? You wouldn't just drive your car blindfolded, right? You would know where you're going. You would have an idea of how you have to get there. You would know laws and behaviors to follow. That's important to prevent accidents. Same concept to your actions in general, with relationships, your career, your investments, your finances, decisions. Should I or shouldn't I? How long do you take to assess before you pull into the intersection and start moving, right? I'm using a ton of analogies and metaphors, guys, because I don't want to get into personal belief systems. I want to give you some ideas, some filters, like, right? Think Instagram. I'm just giving you some things you can apply to your own life, filter through this, and assess for yourself. Some people like it with this filter versus that, right? Like, I'm a big fan of vibrant, or I go completely black and white in my photos. I love to have passion and fun, but I am very clear on compliance. It's the black and white of me. And guys, if I'm just paralleling my behaviors in life to my personality, that's how it breaks down, right? That's how it makes sense to me, and it's consistent. There is no wiggle room for passion and fun when it comes to compliance. It's either compliant or it's not. And if it's not, we have a very clean idea of why not, right? And so think about, you're either happy or you're not. You're satisfied or you're not. You're moving with intention or you're not. And how do you shift it to empower yourself back to in control, to driving? Because I'll be honest, I'm a control freak in the sense that I don't like other people to drive me anymore because I was in a car accident. I was in a car accident that was not my own fault. It was recorded when I was driving a cab as a solopreneur, my first business, by the way. Somebody made a left on a red left arrow, and I had the green like flow through, and she pulled in front of me and I couldn't stop in time. It was a lot, but very clean, concise. It was on paper what happened. There was no questions because it was recorded. We could assess it after. It wasn't left to opinions. And so how much of your life is clean and concise to assess, right? The word concise I tie with Leslie Flowers. Leslie, if you're there, I thought of you when I said it. But how much of it is that clear, right? How much of it is just black and white? The lights come on or they don't. We paid the bills or we didn't. Is there a partial bill? Cool. That could be a Venn diagram moment, right? We're still in the gray there, but passion and fun are different than those things. I'm passionate about paying my bills, but that's not what motivates me every day because it wouldn't work. I'll be honest with you. Paying my bills is not what makes me excited to get up every day. It's a nice feeling. It's a cool cherry, but if I wasn't working in something I loved, it wouldn't be enough. And so what are your movements? What are those intentions? Who are you hanging out with? How are you acting? If something goes awry, if it's not perfect, do you move in and get clarity? Do you just shut it off because, oh, I don't like it? I got to be honest, there are some people where I have just blocked them. It's just unhappiness they want to spew, and it was habitual long before we met. I go back to documentation, the comments, the shares, the content, right? And I don't want to engage with people who are mean to be mean. Now, can I seem mean sometimes? Yeah, Felipe, I see you, right? Where we play sibling rivalry a lot on our show, the one we co-host on Sundays, every other Sunday. Check it out. It's out there somewhere. But there is a difference. We move to argue about differing opinions so you guys can see it from two sides and kind of make your own assumptions or decisions from there. But it's never forced perspective. And I wonder how many people around you require you to think like them versus ask you good questions to make you think like you. Right? Because I'll be honest, my mom wanted me to think like her. My mom wanted me to be able to strategize and think, and Tetris and Wheel of Fortune and Price is Right. And all of these things were always on TV or video games she purchased when they first came out on PlayStation and all these things. I remember her wanting to stimulate the brain. I wrote about it in the second book. But there was still this, you're going to do as I say, not as I do. I said it, get it done. Do you guys have parents like that? Did you ever have parents like that? Right? And I think it's cool if you're a parent and you want to tell them, your children, hey, I want you to do what I said. Don't ask any questions. I need you to get it done. If it's brush your teeth, you could tell them that. But I'll be honest, as a manager, guys, as a leader, as somebody who's experienced in communicating with people who may not want to do the thing I'm asking of them, explaining why the value is there for them helps. Right? And it's a small thing because as a parent, you can say, go brush your teeth. Bob, go brush your teeth. I told you to brush your teeth. I don't want to talk about it. Do what I said. And that would be okay. But if you said, listen, Bob, if you don't brush your teeth, it's going to cause you pain. You are not going to be able to eat your favorite foods anymore. You're going to have issues with your health. It can cause long-term, whatever it is. You're offering knowledge for them to make a better decision for themselves, even after they leave your space. And so for me, I am trying to be intentional about not just teaching what I know, but explaining why I teach it the way I do, why I present it the way I do, recommending it to you to do it the same way. So that way maybe they're more receptive. Because I don't know about you guys. Maybe tell me in the comments, do you receive information better when you're told this is how it is, just get it done? Or when you get to kind of decide what's best based on a few options in front of you? Because I'll be honest, as a leader, when you give somebody the ability to be part of it, to have a decision, I feel like they anchor in more. It becomes fun and passion for them if they get to share their fun and passion on the thing, right? You might not get a kid to be passionate about brushing their teeth, but I guarantee you they're passionate about a peanut butter cup tomorrow. Well, maybe not your kid, my kid for sure. And I'm not saying you should motivate them that way, but man, if you tell the children that, hey, by taking care of what's already there inside your body, by brushing your teeth, you're going to be able to access things you always want a little bit longer, right? It's kind of cool. What if you did the same with knowledge in your workplace? The stuff that made you successful in your craft. How often do you share that forward? Because I know my network is kind of amazing in that way. I know there's a ton of humans out here. I'm looking at this back cover, and I mean, I'm sitting next to Felipe, right? I'm sitting next to Jackie. I got Leslie here. I see Chasen. I see you, buddy, right? And Sharon's there. Lisa's there. There's so many people here. Misha, Jamie. Guys, I'm trying to see the other. There's two others in here, and I see your faces, but I can't hear your names. I'm so sorry. Shelly Starks, I see you. And guys, I just think about it for yourself. What are you going to do? What do you want to do? What are you waiting to do? All right. Who wants to come up? Is there anybody who wants to share what's coming up for them? Are you another co-author in the book? I would love to know what your experience was. If you're a publisher, you're welcome to come on stage as well. You just got to message me, guys, so I can send you that link. I think writing in this book changed me. And Jamie Rockmore, I see you. She's in the book also. She's chapter 5. But I'm just flipping through this, and I see all these humans and what they're up to and what they're doing. And Andrea Sanchez, she's, chapter 1, just flipping through. These are humans I didn't know a ton about before. They're humans whose story was right in front of me for how long, and I didn't grab it because LinkedIn moved too quickly, or, the feed gets bogged down, or notifications, algorithms, whatever that beast is we all talk about that happens, and we just don't see each other. I love that a book allows people to slow down and grab it when they're ready, right? Whether it's going to be the audio version now on YouTube, whether it's going to be a paperback or a digital version, it's here. If you're just on LinkedIn and don't do any of the other things, it's here. And it's great for me, right? To be honest, it's great for me. That's a value. But where's the value for you? Like, what is that thing you're doing that could be better? Reach more people, have more opportunity to help if you were in front of more of them, right? If you just shared your story more openly. And so I don't know what's coming up for you guys, but I have to say it changed the way I was thinking. And I've always written, okay, I got to be honest, writing is something that I think people should do naturally, just sharing your thoughts, diary, writing it down, processing. I think it's important. But I've always been a creative soul who liked to write poetry as a kid and short stories and fun stuff. And then I put it away because bills and other children, and I got busy. And then social media created that opportunity to write a little bit, to push my craft forward in content. And I know you guys know, if you've ever written before, it becomes this habit that really soothes the soul a bit. I think it makes you dive into parts of yourself you've either forgotten, put away, or never found until that moment. And I highly recommend it, because I think if you're going to write the story either way, assessing your story, remembering the story, writing down your favorite moments, even if you're just doing that, I think there would be so much value for me today if my grandmother would have had a daily diary. Just something. She had 8 children, a million grandchildren. Like, I think there was 30 grandchildren when she passed or so, like average. I don't even know. And if I could have just sat here on harder days, right? Because there are some days where it's hard for me too, guys. I miss my grandma sometimes. When the world gets scary outside, I want to call my mom and be like, what the heck, Mom? You told me people weren't this silly. Or you told me this couldn't happen again. Or you told me whatever it was, right? I just want to talk to her. But maybe grandma might have had the same kind of thoughts because she was a human trying to learn on the grow as a parent too. I had 2 biological children and 2 stepchildren. The reason that matters, the only differentiator there is the time I got to spend with them. We had to split time with my stepchildren. And so, I went from 2 to 4 children, and there were times where I just felt overwhelmed, and I would call her and she'd laugh at me. She's like, oh, 4, really? 4? That's it, huh? And I would giggle because perspective. Now, while I don't think you should do that to people with children at all, her laughter made me realize, yeah, we've all been there. Everybody's had a bad day and been overwhelmed by the thing. And I just wish I could read that today, right? I wish I actually love, and I do it with my mom a little bit more because my mom did get on social. But when I miss my mom or I'm looking for advice, I can go to her Facebook profile and just scroll. There's some documentation of what she used to believe in, what she would share, her motivation, her kindness. And now I have something that no matter what happens to social media, it's here. And I'm not just me, right? There's a handful of professionals, 11 other people in here with me, 36 total in the series that can speak to the people behind me, the ones that I'm gifting this to. And that's one of the books. I'm also part of another one that I read last week, the Legacy Chronicles, right? A message to my family. And it was 2024. Another set of humans coming together to share their experiences and putting it down on paper for everybody behind us to always have access to. And that's profound for me. Before I met Nick and came to LinkedIn to do all of these things, my stepson, Ryan, was going through the loss of his maternal grandmother. She got sick, and she got sick very quickly. It moved in a way that her doctors hadn't seen. And I remember when they were getting closer to the end of her life, we had a discussion about just sitting down with her and asking her, what's your favorite memory of me? And journaling that together. Not only is it an experience of reliving all of your favorite memories with somebody you love, making sure you capture it, but then having the ability to read back something you guys wrote together was the concept, right? And I think documentation, making sure we don't forget, has always been important. History and learning from it and revisiting it and reassessing it and making sure we pull out simple circles, guys. Opinion aside, that's what I love about a Venn diagram is you can't really get opinion there, right? There is no opinion in a black and white filter or a vivid, lucid colored photo. There's no opinion there. It either represents this way or that way. And when you have it in front of you, you can clearly see the differences. The same thing happens with a Venn diagram. The job you have today, the job you want next week. If you just bullet point the skill sets you need for both, you get clarity. You can see where you were and where you need to grow to, what's lacking, what's the same. And when you're unsure about what's happening around you or in life or even in your own mind, this is one of those moments where you could just sit down, get out the bullet points, get all personal opinion out of it, and just look at the facts. And I know that's hard sometimes. And so if you've never done it, if you don't understand how to Venn diagram, it's okay. Seriously, it's something we can talk through. We can do a Venn diagram session. I'll do it for free, 15 minutes. It won't take much more than that. But there's also YouTube, tons of opportunity out there to see what they're doing to cover and explain. But simple stuff, let's use an example of a couple, okay? Let's say you are in a relationship with somebody, or maybe you're on differing sides of an opinion. One of them I like to use is when a couple who's really in love and they know they want to be together forever is fighting over moving in and purging the stuff they don't have room for. You have a guy on one side who has this really cool clock Grandpa made in his shop with his own hands out of the antlers of the buck he shot himself on their hunting trip. Can you imagine a hanging wall clock, 3 feet long, 6 inches wide, big antlers coming out of it? Then you have his partner on the other side who has this fluffy white kitten poster, hot pink behind it, crown sitting on top of the kitten. And she loves this cat because it was her third roommate in her college dorm. It was her, a roommate, and the cat. And that cat went to every hangout session they had. Important to both of them. Equally silly in some minds or perspectives to hang on a wall in a house for decoration, but value in the memories, right? How do you get them to agree that they both deserve to have their thing hanging in the wall, on the wall? And really, we had a conversation, a breakdown where they weren't going to move in together because of these two items. And so what I did was say, okay, let's make it simple. Whose couch is more comfortable? And I moved the couch into the center of the Venn diagram. So just imagine each human's apartment is a circle, and I'm just Venn diagramming the items inside, right? So we move the couch to the center. Whose bed is more comfortable? Okay, that goes to the center. Who's got better dishes? That goes to the center. What about linens, towels, blankets, yard equipment, whatever it is, right? And at the end, you have just those two little things that we had to break into, and they were big things to have to overcome if you really don't like antlers or you really don't want a pink fluffy kitten on your wall. And so then we assessed the house. What kind of space are you guys in? Talk to me about it. And they had a garage. And so for me, I said, why don't you guys just hang it on the garage wall? So you both get to see both items when you come and go every day. But it's not hanging inside. It was a simple solution that was not going to get found because emotionally they were both really tied to their thing. But that became a ripple through all the things, right? We used to want to combine everything. Now we don't. Now everything's an argument. Why am I getting rid of all my stuff, not your stuff? Well, let's clean it up. We already know you want to get rid of the couch because you like that person's couch better. We already know you don't care about the bed because their bed is better. So let's get rid of the easy stuff and then sit down and figure out the hard one. And the hard one was, I don't want to give up who I was for you. That's valid in a lot of relationships, right? And so when you get down to the brass tacks, how do you protect that thing for each other? Some would have separate closets and let them decorate it separately. Some have separate offices. Some have a he shed, a she shed. Some split levels of the house and decorate different, right? But this is something that can even solve that problem. Simple. You want to be a high school, like you're in high school, you want to be in the NFL, you can absolutely figure out what an athlete in high school has that a college athlete has. Venn diagram the center there, grow from the middle. Anything on the left that no longer suits you, it's not going to come with you into college. It's not relevant. You leave it behind. It's on the left side of the Venn diagram. On the right side of the Venn diagram, that NFL package you're not quite into yet, a list of things you need to grow into. It's a to-do list, actionable. So simple stuff, guys. What I would love to do is just ask you for the next 7 days, right now. Don't pause. Don't say you'll start it again. It's March 1st for the next 7 days. Anytime you're emotionally pulled on a topic, whatever it is, family, business, politics, life. You could be at the grocery store waiting for a parking spot and somebody cuts you off. I don't care what it is. I want you to sit down and go, I'm going to figure out how to Venn diagram this. Maybe it's who I am right now and who I could become in 10 seconds and like change their life today by cursing them out. Do I really want to be that person? Right? The two variations of behaviors or personalities that you can bring. Maybe you meet it in the center where you can still give them an eyebrow, but maybe not speak the words you're thinking. That would be my Venn diagram of that moment, where I'm going to go ahead and pick another spot, but I'm going to go ahead and nod with my eyebrows going to naturally rise at you. And you're going to know, okay, buddy, but I'm still going to go find a spot and I'm not going to move my mouth. Right? Now, that's a simple thing. Simple for me to do. There's a ton of opportunities. I have a lot of journal prompts I give to people for Venn diagrams, but you can go ask AI. You can come talk to me if you want, but I really just want you to sit down and assess for yourself. If you're in politics, go side A, side B, right? What are they talking about? What do they keep saying matters? What's in the middle and what's on each of their own agendas on A and B side? Simple, concise bullet points. Nothing else but what you know for a fact. No opinions. And then you figure it out from there. You can have conversations based on the bullet points later, right? The things you're not 100% certain on. But that doesn't mean you have to absorb it all. It just means you're going to gather data, put more bullet points in the circle to figure it out for yourself. I will never tell you what to believe in, but I will tell you to find the truth. I will never tell you who to vote for, but I will tell you to be kind, right? I will. And if you don't like that, you should unfollow today. And I have no problem telling you that, because we do PBS around here. And PBS, I love you for not coming after me, but you raised me to want to be like Sesame Street characters. You raised me to want to be friendly, to let Oscar have a spot on the street without having to make him leave. He's grouchy. We know it. But sometimes we show up anyway with a cake or a cookie or a friendly conversation. Right? Big Bird. That's who Felipe says I am. I'm Big Bird around here. I guess it's because I like to bring people together and they're all kind of a little different, but somehow I just want to keep the fun, the passion, the energy going, that where you can all get along and be friends, because we can if we try. I swear to you, the only reason we don't have peace is because we all haven't agreed that it's time. And it doesn't matter what kind of peace, guys. I don't care what you think about war today. I'm talking about globally for all time. If we just agreed to find the center, we wouldn't be in this problem. If we always moved to not make you become me and not make me become you, and we just found a way where we could both agree to be us, but we have these rules, like at the pool: no running, no jumping, no glass. Nobody wants glass bottles in the bottom of the pool. It's a simple rule we all understand, and we don't argue about it because it helps everybody. Those are the kind of rules I think we should be implementing, and anything that doesn't work that way, I have questions, but I want to talk about it nicely. I want to share in the conversation and understand why you feel you need glass by the pool. Just explain it to me, but explain it to me like I'm 5, because I may be slower than you and I don't understand it, and don't treat me less than because I didn't get it the first time, right? Now, once you're done explaining it, may I explain to you why I don't think glass is a good idea by a pool, right? And if we can't have that conversation, guys, there's a problem. You're in the wrong room. You're surrounded by the wrong people, or the wrong people are in leadership if they're not listening to those behind them. I stand by that. I always will. If I want to fix something in my business with people who I'm leading, the first thing I do is listen to the people who are front of line, very much on the ground, figuring it out. I want to know what the problems are. Tell me what I don't know first, because when I know there's problems, and then I open myself up to listen to what their problems are, we may be overlapping 90%, and there is no reason to address it with them if they've already become aware. Maybe we just move right into solution, and then it's not so forced education. I don't know how to put that in a way, but guys, have you ever had your boss explain something to you you knew, like you told him in the email, and now he's assessed the email and he's coming to teach you? There's words out there for it. I don't want to use it, but we've been explained to things that we already understood. And bosses do it, partners do it, leaders do it, right? But do we want to be those people? Do we want to allow that to be the standard operating procedure for us? Because I don't. I really don't like to apply a solution without assessing. I really don't like one size fits all anything, because I've never fit in anything one size fits all. I'm short and stout. I have curves like an hourglass, Marilyn Monroe, plus a few extra pounds, but I'm 5'4", maybe 3.5, and I might have fibbed on my driver's license. I don't know. One size fits all doesn't work. And so assessment, or just saying, take it, I'm your parent, take it because I said so. You'll do it because I said so. That works for a while, but you never really garner respect that way, guys. When my mom would tell me that, I never got excited to do it for her. I was never passionate about executing it, except to maybe shut her up. But that's really not a motivation that I want to tap into for those who are behind me or looking up to me or looking to me for guidance. And so do you have these rules for yourself? The only reason I'm sharing any of this is to let you know the things I genuinely assess on myself constantly, daily. I mess up all the time. I'm so imperfect, and I'll giggle 10 minutes later and go, oh, I was so rude and I didn't even realize it. My little ADHD self didn't even ask a question I should have, or didn't make a comment back I should have, right? I try to go backwards and say, hey, by the way, are you those leaders? Are you the ones who will put your pride aside to assess later? That you maybe were wrong, that they were right, that you approached it the wrong way. Are you willing to get feedback? This one's a little hot topic, I'm going to tell you right now, okay? But I watched a video last night of some leaders. And there were two leaders initially having a conversation in front of me. I saw stuff that if I just take that moment and take that Venn diagram concept and move it to an elementary classroom. Okay. I saw two children talking. One of them was doing it the way the teacher said is supposed to be done. These are the rules for engagement. This is how you guys communicate. This is how we're going to do it and who's going to watch you guys do it. And then there was this moment where it just felt like the rules shifted. Something changed. And a new circle got added to this Venn diagram moment where another person came in and started demanding set behaviors. I don't know if you saw it, but I couldn't imagine watching children in a classroom demand one of the speakers say thank you before they got help to fix their boo-boo. Maybe they skinned their knee and they need a Band-Aid, and we're not going to assess the Band-Aid or the wound or give any solution until we are appeased with a set behavior. Now, again, parents do this all the time. Little Timmy, you're not going to get to go outside until you stop crying, right? I've seen it. But in a classroom, that's not exactly the behavior correction that I expect from a teacher. I would expect conversation. I would expect education, and I would expect a set tone for the room. We do this in audio events, guys. There's rules of engagement. If you're not hosting, you behave like the host would expect you to behave. You stay on topic to what the room's about. You're kind to the people on the stage. You take turns speaking. You don't let anybody gang up on the other. Everybody has a voice in the room. These are just things I live and I have in front of you for a long time. Now, sometimes you do have to shut it down because somebody gets aggressive in the room and shouldn't be. And I get it. But I want you to go back to the bullet points for you, assess you, pull your circle into what you're watching out in public, in your business, in your life, in your home, wherever you're assessing, and figure out how you want to move and who you want to align with. Because I did background checks for a decade, guys. I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I'm a big fan of facts. And so when I look at it, I try to take opinion out of it. opinions cause disparate impact. Opinions can definitely be perspective driven. They are perspective driven, right? And sometimes they are based in a fact. Sometimes they are based in facts that you have experienced, but that is not a fact for me. And that is where we have to have the conversation. We have to understand each other and understand that what Felipe experienced growing up, and I'm picking on him because we've had this conversation, the way he was raised with 2-parent household, his parents were well established. They had some really cool friends growing up, like things that a lot of kids don't. He was on a farm. He drank milk from a cow or something. I don't know. But here's the thing. I never did those things. I was raised differently, and that's cool. But that doesn't mean that he's more correct on a topic than I am, or vice versa. It means we have two different perspectives. We have two different experiences, but we were in the same place. And the fact that we both can have such a variety of differences in how we move, think, feel, we're raised, beliefs, faith. I mean, all of it, guys. And yet we're still friends. And we still argue about it. But at the end of the day, there's that mutual respect when we put down our circles of Venn diagram for you to understand. There's still love and respect there. And we're still on the same team of knowledge sharers. We don't want to speak so unkindly to prove a point that we ruin what's happening between us as a team to help others, right? And we joke a lot, but guys, when it comes down to it, there is a kindness there, because if I said, hey, Felipe, I don't feel good about this, or he doesn't feel good about it, we address it. And that's all I'm asking you to do, is surround yourself with people like that. And if you're not seeing that, assess your whys. Get the Venn diagram out. Why is this person saying this, not this? Or do their actions align with their words? Do your actions align with your words? And how often do you assess it? Because if you don't write it down, how do you know? Where's the accountability? I got to be honest, I move so quickly. Sometimes I have a million things to do in a day. I can forget to do something. I don't know if you've ever done that. But writing it down ensures I won't forget to come back at some point. I will find that sticky note when I clean off my desk, and it will get done. And so write it down today. What matters to you? What is something you absolutely do not want to miss? Forget. If you guys want to join the stage, all you have to do is let me know. I will send you the link. I'm not going to put it in the comment section because I don't want just random people coming. I want to make sure I do have the ability to say no thank you if it's somebody I don't want to have come on, because there's sometimes I just don't know people and they start pitching right away. But I do want you to come join. I want you to, come share what's coming up for you today. I don't want to talk about the news on my show. You guys can use this concept for the news if you want. Gregory, I see you. I know they're talking about it everywhere today. And there's a lot of conversations globally about what's going on out there. And so it's hard not to acknowledge it, right? But I don't want to become too heavy into politics because I don't want to push anybody away. I have always said I am very purple because I am somebody who Venn diagrams. I stand under the umbrella that keeps me driest. Sometimes that aligns with me on one side more than another. Sometimes morally, I see some decisions being made that align with me more than another, right? And that is the ability to shift with new information. And that's something I'm never going to get rid of. Never. I will watch all sorts of news. I watch all of it on all spectrums, because data is data, guys. And the more data you have, the more assessments you can make, the more I can Venn diagram 37 different sources of data to figure out what they're all saying that's the same, and then research the variables, right? If they say it's raining on 5 channels and one other says it's sunny, I'm going to figure out why. And you know what? I bet you that station that says it's sunny is a few miles away from where the storm is. When we dig in, it could just be perspective based on where we are. But that doesn't mean that it's factual for all on any side. And I think we've forgotten that. And as a background screener, it's always going to the source. I can get a lot of flags. There's
Just to give you an idea, there's like this net you can throw over the nation. It's a nationwide database search. It's a quick, fast hit, but it can bring back information that's not accurate. It can bring back stuff that's not even tied to you, and it has to be cleaned up. So then we filter from there, we filter down further. Well, is it this person or is it that person? How do we know? Well, let's go run the source data. Is it the state or the county? Where did it happen? Sometimes it's in a city municipality. Sometimes it's in a township, and you got to go to that source. But digging in matters. Stop headline assessing your life. You can quote me on that. Stop headline assessing your life. Dig in. Figure out why the headlines are the way they are. Figure out what you're doing every day that changes the way your life looks when you wake up. If you're not happy, why? Because honestly, as a coach, I can tell you the first couple of sessions with me are assessing why you're miserable, what you want to change. Half the time you guys don't even know. You're just like, I don't know. Cool, let's do some work. And I think assessing is important. I think doing self-audits, right? Making sure we're putting information and action and investment of time, money, belief systems into the right things. How you do it matters. I remember reading The Ends Justify the Means in school. And then I remember hearing the ends don't always justify the means. And I always ask myself in that moment, do they or don't they this time? Right? If a parent skips a meal for dinner to feed their children, knowing that they can eat tomorrow for free at the corporate function, I don't know. I think that's a good thing. Like I could fast to feed others. The ends for me justifies the means, right? Taking food from one to feed another doesn't feel right to me. And that's a personal preference. Coming up on business, right? I can go create an off-brand tennis shoe of somebody who's already doing it well. They're a famous brand. I can go create some knockoffs. You've seen a lot of platforms rise and fall with knockoff brands. It's not who I want to be. And I want to take away from somebody who did a lot of work and give a cheaper version of something that's not the quality they're hoping for. Right? What about you? I'm not saying it's wrong to be the great value brand of a cereal by any means. Do it. Produce it if you want. But is that really who you want to be at the end? And make sure before you decide to be the knockoff version that that's what you wanted to do. That's all. And I look at myself, sometimes a lot of people feel imposter syndrome. And I think it comes from that, is doing the things that don't really align with who you are, who you want to be, what you believe in. And when you make the decision to assess it so you don't do that anymore, I think you're going to see a ton of opportunity of growth and understanding of oneself come, right? And that for me is more important than anything, is to make sure I'm constantly assessing my movements, not wasting time. If you're moving in the wrong direction too long, you can really not just end up in the wrong spot, but you lose ground that may have taken you so long to gain in the first place. So much easier to spend money than it is to make it. Anybody agree? Have you ever seen it come and go so quickly? You're like, what the heck? How did that happen? But it's because we're not being mindful of what's happening in our life. So anyway, Felipe, I see you back here. I don't know how the comments are doing. I'm going to go over to LinkedIn, but I do want to welcome you and go ahead and unmute. Say hi. What's coming up?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, I just wanted to come up. I loved your reading of the book, and I loved your diplomatic way of discussing certain things. But yeah, no, it's been a crazy time in the world, and I think that what you were sharing was very wise because, being kind is important, but we got to know the truth, at the end of the day. So, but how's your weekend starting?
It's beautiful here. I don't know how long it's been since it's been this warm here, but I think we're going to be at like 50 today, maybe. So I'm excited.
No, we've got like the last 2 days have been sunny and in the 50s. Today's gonna be in the 60s. So yeah, it's been a nice change from all the cold and snow and all that crap.
Now, Felipe, talk to me. You're a nonprofit guy. It's a lot going on. So, without getting into specifics, because again, this is not to pitch a perspective necessarily, but how are you managing this right now? Work, life, home, news.
It's a crazy time. I mean, it's I gotta shut it out sometimes just for my own sanity. But whether it's nonprofit, global public health, government, jobs, and then contractors of all these companies that do government work, the ripple effect of what's happening is just devastating, and it's hitting people, and if it's not hitting people directly, it's hitting people that someone knows, and it's really something that it's just very sad for a lot of people, because a lot of people whose jobs are being taken away, it's all they've done all their life. I mean, it's imagine if you were a teacher or engineer or an accountant or a coach, and all of a sudden someone said, we don't need that anymore in this world, so we're just wiping it away. Imagine if all the work that you had done, people had said, that's not valuable anymore. And I'm talking about decades of work, not just like a one project you worked on. And it's one of those things where it's like, it makes me feel like people are trying to hide some of the truth of the past, and you can't do that. If we're going to move forward, we got to be honest with ourselves and learn from what we've done to make things better, not try to change things to the way I think or someone else thinks is right. So that's where my head is right now, Houston, and that's a little bit.
It's a lot, but honestly, I will say this: it always has been a movement forward, guys. And I'll say this as a whole. Even reading the story today, I was thinking about COVID and how it feels a lot like that time. I'm not saying it's exactly the same, but I'm looking at the news every day going, there's a lot of uncertainty out there. There's a lot of career employees, a lot of businesses that had contracts that were solely reliant on those contracts. And the whole purpose of that business or nonprofit was to function in that capacity, right? And like Felipe said, gone. Felipe and I have worked in industries that have been under control or audited by or checked and balanced by organizations that are being dismantled in front of us. And it doesn't make sense to me because they've always done the right things by the humans that I was screening. The people who could be affected by big mistakes of quick movement in government and records and decisions from banking institutions and stuff. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is what I'm referencing. They monitor us in background screens. They do a lot with the banks. They do a lot with credit, and they're just under attack. And that doesn't make sense to me. I'm not here to speak my politics, but I have questions as somebody who had to adhere to these decisions and did so willingly because it helped, a Felipe Cofino not be dismissed from employment based on a record of a different Felipe Cofino, right? I have to discern if it's the Bob Smith in front of me or a different Bob Smith that has that DUI before I decide Bob's not allowed to work here. I hear a lot of people looking for work again, right? Like Felipe, you're talking about these career professionals. COVID did the same thing. People who had always shown up for work, did everything they were supposed to do, had life change around them without their permission, had nothing to do with it. And they were looked at poorly for being unemployed in a time where a lot of businesses shuttered. It happened in 2008 for those who are old enough to remember. I left Arizona originally then because of COVID. I was an entrepreneur who drove a cab. I was doing my own thing. I was making good money. But then I had a car accident and I was robbed. And then the economy tanked and 50% of my hometown shut down, which is why I was driving the cab. And eventually it got to the point where I had PTSD from the accident and I could not drive. I had so much anxiety, I had to lay down in the middle seat of our van just to be able to move. And every start and stop wrecked my soul in the moment, guys. That wasn't my choice. I had been a hustler working 12 plus hours a day to get it done. Now we're judging, right? And I'm looking at these things we've audited. That's another part of my business skill set. As a background screener, that's all I did was auditing before a report went out. I was the last step of compliance. When I went in to audit a business for assessment to help them grow, I had to look at the data to know what they've done before applying a treatment, right? It goes back to what I said in the beginning. I'm not seeing that by people who say they're doing what I do for a living. It's different. And I don't know how to have the conversation without sounding political. But as a professional, I have questions about the actions of other professionals in front of me, right? And we should have this conversation without getting ugly, without being mean, without scolding somebody for having a question or labeling them for asking a question. Guys, it's knowledge sharing. That's what we do here. And so anybody who doesn't align with those things, which I have always talked about right here for years, my whole life, I fought the bullies to have the small voice in the room heard so they could ask a question in a room full of yelling adults, which my life, right? I had a bunch of little cousins under me and I needed to get their parents' attention to have them ask the question sometimes at the party. Thanksgiving, 300 people in a room. It's hard to get the attention of the one you need to talk to. But that's what I've done. And so this is no different. I just need you to know that's what I do every day. And this is just what's being presented to me to assess this time. So if you're wondering why it's here, it's because I live in America and I do business on LinkedIn and I talk to lots of businesses that are no more than 3 connections away from me at any time, 2 extra. And this is what we're facing, right? Felipe, tell me, what are you doing to get your de-stress time in right now? Because the other thing I will say, not just documentation for action purposes, but what are you doing to take a break, unwind? I have to not be live all the time. I can't always keep up with the news all the time. Even work stuff, I have to put it down, take a break, get into personal space. What are you doing to do that?
Well, right now I'm doing a lot because, as you know, Houston, I've had an eye issue, and I've talked about this on LinkedIn quite a few times, but about 10 years ago, due to this horribly toxic work environment I was in, due to stress only, my retina started detaching from my eye. And my doctor said that if it did not improve, they could try surgery, but I might lose my eyesight in that eye. I ended up changing jobs. That's where I started getting into mindfulness and wellness. And I started realizing the benefits of what you can do to prevent stress and how it impacts your body. Well, fast forward to now, and with a lot of life things happening in my family, outside in the world, at work, stress got really bad and my eye started detaching so bad that I was seeing one huge brown blurry spot in my right eye. So I had to find a way to mitigate the stress. And so the things that I do is the breathing exercises is a huge thing. I say my prayers every morning. That's a big part of my faith, helps me through things. I try to exercise, and I'm not saying I'm going to the gym every day, but going for walks or doing some kind of physical activity to keep my body moving, because at the end of the day, that helps as well. And then getting help when I need it, whether it's talking to somebody, if I need medication sometimes to get me through a horrible time, if I just need to talk to a friend or a professional, whatever it is, sometimes you just need to talk about it. And then when that's not working and you need that extra help, then seek doctor's help because you might need medication. But the point is that if you do nothing, it's only going to get worse. And your body's going to react to it. My body reacts by making my retina detach. Your body might react with getting an ulcer or having other issues in your body that you don't know about. So it's important for us to find those ways, but it's what I do isn't necessarily going to work for you, Houston, because we're different people. But I am not ashamed to take a nap anymore. I have no problem taking a nap in the middle of the day if I feel tired. I'm going to do that because it's my body's way of saying, yeah, you're a little tired. You need a quick rest. And I'm saying like a 10-minute power nap. And I will take some alone time to recharge. So that's where I'm at.
I love those. I'll be honest, guys, naps are my favorite. I have arthritis. I've talked about it before. And one of the ways that when it gets really bad, if it gets too intense or if I push too far, I will just take a 10-minute nap because I feel like it resets my pain. It takes me from a high level down to a lower level. And I don't know if it's just rest or detaching the mindset or whatever it is, but it's been a gift I've given myself. The other thing is I'm getting older. I'm very capable of pulling these 12-hour days and having a good time. But if I'm at home and I don't have the loud music and the exciting energy around and all the things that I normally would do, I like a good nap. And if it's a weekend, I can nap for hours. I like a good 2-hour nap. And it just feels like I gave myself a whole extra day that week. And guys, in my mind, sometimes I wake up and I really do feel like it's the next day because I slept so good in that short amount of time. And then I feel like I have a whole second day to just reapply myself. And I think it's really important to give yourself the time. Now, be careful when napping. Something, just quick disclaimer. If you sleep too long in the middle of the day, you can restart your REM cycle, and that's not good for you. You will be lethargic throughout the day. So you really do, if you're doing a nap during the day, you either want to allocate the time to take a full nap or do a micro nap and make sure you have somebody to help hold you accountable. I usually will tell my husband, like, hey, do my 10-minute nap, wake me up in 10 minutes. Then he'll give me like a snooze and I'll let myself go a little bit, but I'm not really sleeping. I'm just laying there with my eyes closed because my eyes are still a little bit wanting to be there, but my body knows it's time to wake up. So
I'll set an
quick
alarm
tips
on my watch. That's what I do. So that the alarm wakes me up.
Oh yeah. And I mean, honestly, guys, find what works for you. I need an accountability buddy though, because if I get into that good nap in the middle of the day, I will hit snooze and just allow myself to keep going because I want that 2-hour nap Saturdays usually bring. Other things though, I am a huge fan of gardening or playing in plants. I have a friend, Omar, who was in the book that I read, asked me to watch his plant. It has exploded in my home. I probably have a couple hundred plants at this point with all the starters. It makes me feel better. Just playing in the soil, playing in the dirt. I don't know if you guys remember, but that was my favorite thing to do outside. And I feel like it really does help me. Some think this is a little woo-woo, so just cover your ears if you don't believe, but I'm a Virgo, and I've heard that that's an earth sign, and so being in the soil is supposed to be very good. Venn diagrams well with being a Virgo, and I feel that's great. I'm also really at peace around water. I love being by the ocean, the lake, the river. I don't care if it's just rain outside on the window. I love all of these things. And so seeking that out with intention, even if it's just a YouTube video of rain sounds or waterfalls or spring or nature sounds, some of that really just anchors me in, even in a stressful day. I just want to hear the water. If I have the water, then I do a little bit better and I can be in my office space, but still feel more relaxed. And so think about the music. My husband likes to do like really aggressive rock stuff. Sometimes, that metal, his brother more so, but that gives me anxiety. It's the opposite for me. So music, right? But figure out how your music is changing your mood. Is it making it better? Is it making you more sad? Is it making you tired? Is it hyping you up? Change as necessary. And then the other thing we've covered before on my show, guys, but I wanted to tell you, I was given by the grandmother I spoke about earlier advice. She was a nurse and she was talking about behaviors. And when people get emotional, there's a few reasons it could be. And so she gave me HALT. It's HALT. But if you get into a mood that you're not really feeling yourself and you're not really sure if you're loving how you're feeling and you want to change it, you just ask yourself, am I hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? And if you're any of those things, solve for that one thing and see how your perspective shifts. I can tell you right now, a peanut butter jelly sandwich and a little bit of a Disney soundtrack can change a lot of my mood very quickly. It doesn't matter who I am, where I am, if I'm hungry or not. Peanut butter and jelly, there's always room for peanut butter jelly, Felipe. I don't know about you. I could always make it work. So for me, like having that fail-safe fun moment, Tarzan, Into the Jungle, where the boop, 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 it's always going to work to put me in a better mood. What is that song for you, Felipe? And guys, if you want to join the stage, message me. I will drop the link. I'm not putting it in the comments for all to join, but I will send it to you in the DMs on LinkedIn. If you want to join the stage, join the conversation, you're welcome to. But what is that song, Felipe, that is a fail safe? You know, if you put it on, it's going to flip it around and make you feel better.
There's a bunch of songs actually for me because it depends on who I'm with, if I'm by myself or with somebody else. But it's usually upbeat. I will say that Jimmy Buffett, Billy Joel can do it for me easily. Guns N' Roses sometimes, depending. So I definitely have a lot of different go-tos. But it's funny
You
you
said
mentioned
Billy Joel. Wait, which Billy Joel? Because you just made me think of my mom, and I have to know if we're on the same page.
well, Saturday Night's a great song. I love Piano Man. Rock and roll. Well, what's it? I love rock and roll. No, what's it called? Oh, crap. I mean, I love all his songs. Actually, I mean, all of them. I mean, it's even the newer ones that he did in like the, well, I shouldn't say newer, but like late '90s that he did.
Okay. What
You know,
about, do you remember For the Longest Time?
oh yeah. Oh my God.
Okay. I was a kid sitting in the back of my mom's car. It was springtime. It was just warm enough. You could smell the heat in the air, but it wasn't hot outside. I don't know if you guys get that. But the song came on, and I remember her vividly going, "Hey, this is all a cappella." And I was like, "I don't know what that means." And she said, "They don't have any instruments. That's all their voice making that music." And so I just remember sitting there intentionally listening to the song because of that. And so when I hear For the Longest Time, I immediately get happier because my mom, it's a memory. So that was cool. You said Billy Joel. I see Nick has just joined us. Felipe said he was going to run away. So if you guys want to talk to him, you're going to have to do it in the comments, it looks like. But hold on, don't go too far in case Nick needs you. Nick, welcome to the stage.
Hello.
How you doing?
Oh, good. You can hear me. I
Yes.
don't know. It's telling me. Oh, no, it just telling me I'm in the show. I was trying to set this up on my phone. That's why it took so long. I am good. I'm really enjoying the conversation. Of course, I love that you read your chapter, but as usual, so much is discussed in your coffee chats. So I wanted to share that I reposted a post yesterday late. I mean, it's crazy. I woke up at 3 something. I could not get back to sleep until after 5 because my puppy's sick and he's like coughing up a lung. So this post was by Desiree Gooley, and I just loved the way she eloquently stated her thoughts without kind of coming at anyone. And her hashtag, "We need to do better," really resonated with me. You know, I'm just thinking to myself, the people that are being displaced, um, they're not being repositioned. You know, new jobs are not being created to place them in. What's going to happen to all these people? And then the other part of it for me is, you know, when I think that I'm a woman, a minority-owned business, and I'm bipolar, what does that say for me as I grow and I want to hire people? Is my hand going to be forced in the way that I conduct business? Like, you know, for me, business is people first. I don't see faces. I don't see names. I don't want to feel that way. You know, I almost feel like and I'm speaking only for myself, um, that I'm being forced to think in a certain way. And to me, this has always been a country where you can think freely and speak freely, um, and just, you know, do so in a respectful manner. So, and now I think about that in terms of establishing a new publishing company, and the fact that I want people to own their stories and feel empowered by them and to be able to put their voice out there, not just in safe spaces, but in a way that their story can reach the people they need to. So I can say for myself that I don't think censorship would ever be something that I would adhere to either in my business or, in the stories that come out from my co-authors. I just wanted to share that.
And I love that you brought that up, because honestly, guys, that is something that I can confirm. I know Felipe could too. She will not edit your words unless she says, the sentence doesn't make sense. What was blue? And you're like, oh, I forgot to put the word sky in there. The sky was blue. And that's the only kind of question she may bring. But if you want to use terms, if you want to use poor punctuation, even if you want to like misspell a word and you mean it, she never changed that for us. And I love that perspective of having people do it their way, right? We've taught it here. We've talked about it. It's not just something that we say and don't mean. This is us genuinely moving our way with kindness, trying to be inclusive, trying to give everybody a chance with the mic, even if we don't always like want to hear what's on the stage. And I'm not saying that's happening here by any means, but we try to give room. And then at some point, everybody gets to determine where their boundary is to set, because it's either unkind or it's moving too far away from the goal or whatever. And I think boundaries are cool. I think rules are important, but I think rules on others to make them think like us or act like us, it's hurtful in a lot of ways, right? I think the rule of not screaming fire in a movie theater is just cool. We're watching a movie. We don't want to have to get up and do a fire dance during the middle of the movie. But I do think allowing people to watch what movies they want to pay to watch is cool, right? I don't want to filter what you're saying out after the movie about the movie, but I don't want you to speak to during my movie. We're going to agree to behave this way in this room. And so I think it's important to remember that, guys, and to move around people who don't want to change what you're saying to appease themselves, but maybe just ask more questions, right? And you have to assess that for you. And it could be at work. It could be on a team. I was talking with an interviewee not too long ago about group dynamics, and it just reminded me of ROTC when I was in junior high school. In high school, we had a field day, and Nick, this was the craziest assignment back then, but they had this huge rubber band around an old metal Folgers can. And gosh, that just aged me so much, guys. Yes, there used to be metal coffee cans out there for those of you who don't know. And they put this rubber band around it with 3 strings. And they put 3 people on each end of the string and said, okay, you have to communicate to move this can. But then they filled it full of water. So we have weight of this metal can, really heavy. And if you pull too fast on one side, it's going to fall out of the rubber band. The rubber band is the only thing keeping it up. And so you need to keep the tension up enough that it will come off the ground, but not come off the can. And guys, if you don't communicate well, there's problems. And, I think those kind of skill sets are used a lot in leadership development in organizations, right? Those things where you have to be forced to communicate to get the goal done. And I think military mindset, I see a lot of that kind of stuff where there's a lot of high priority stuff on the line. If you took water out of the can and put something more dangerous in it, those are the kind of things military people and others, police officers, first responders go out and handle for us, right? But imagine your life, your important thing, family, business, career, whatever it is, mindset, put it in the can. And then I want you to ask yourself, who are the other people in your life holding a string? Are they moving in a way that you'd want them to, with them having control over one of those strings on that rubber band? Because if somebody pulled too quickly, it's done. You have to trust the person in control of that string. And so who is helping you with your strings? Who's pulling them? Do you ask them questions? Do they tell you how to pull your string in your life, your can, your priorities? These are things to assess, because honestly, I've lived through a lot of situations, and there have been people who tried to control all the strings in my life, and I left them. There are others who said, hey, how can I help you with your string? And waited till I handed them the string. And then they did exactly what I told them to do when I said to pull. Right? And then there are others who would just cut the string while your friend's pulling just to see what happens. Who are you hanging out with? Pull out your circles. I have the circles on the screen because that's what we're talking about today, guys. Who's in your circle? What circles are you overlapping with? What are the bullet points that matter? And if you're looking at this visual on the screen right now, what if every single one of those outside circles had a string in your life? And that center one around that document, then act mentality, the things that mattered so much to you that you wrote them down to act on them. What if they were all pulling a little bit? Because you could quickly fill in names, right? Pastor, spouse, child, family, boss, media. They all are pulling at you a little bit. How much control are you going to give them? Who do you want to take strings away from? This is not for me to tell you, you have to do it for one or the other. I'm asking you for you. Who's in control of your mindset? Who's in control of your decision making? Who's doing it without your permission? Who's listening to you and guiding with you to get to the goal line, right? Because Nick, you're a publisher. So you needed me as a co-author to move in a certain way. And that was, here's your rules for word, font, layout, format, picture, links, their structure, right? Beyond that, though, how much did we need to follow a rule?
I think there's basic structure in everything, but we can't lose our individuality in it. There's a starting point, and everything is custom. Every project is custom. Every team is custom. And, if I want to publish your stories, then let's put it this way. If I wanted to have the perfect stories, I will take everybody's story, throw it into AI and send it back to you and be like, this is how you're going to write it. That's ridiculous. I don't want to work with followers. I want to work with cool leaders. There is a difference. So I am there to guide. I am not there to tell you who you are and what your story is and how you should write it. Why? Because I would be pissed off if somebody else told me how I should write my story and who I should be and how I should speak and what I should feel. I also want these books to be able to be read by the majority. I don't want people with a dictionary next to them writing down a word every chapter going, well, what does that mean? That just loses people in the story. I don't know. You can tell that where my passion is, and
I love that.
I can talk about this for hours because I am that passionate about it. I show up in spaces as me, and I want the very same for everybody. And I can't guarantee that, but I can guarantee that within a space when people come to work with me. That I can guarantee.
And that's really, I love that you said that, because guys, here's the thing. We're not here to pitch services. That's not at all what this is. I want to be clear. But I read my chapter. This is my publisher. And the reason I said yes to this one versus any of the others that I had been approached by, which I had been approached by a few others, was because this person moves in a way that allows others to move their way. Not perfect, no human is, but being willing to let others not be perfect too. Being willing to let others use their voice to speak. When I read my chapter, guys, it's kind of how I talk. Sometimes I'm more articulate than others. Sometimes I pull out my $10 words, depending on the room I'm in. But when I'm on YouTube, when I'm on coffee chats, it's a Saturday. Sometimes we're in our pajamas doing this, right? Sometimes we're not even out of bed yet and we're sipping our coffee. Some of us are mowing the lawn. Some of us are cleaning. Some of us are driving to the next big thing. But I want everybody to get the message. Nick allowed the chapters to be written that way and didn't make it to be like, hey, it's a professional book. We need to have these $1 million words in here so people who are interested in $1 million words can read it. We want them to find the message that's within it. And if they're going to get stuck on the vocabulary, they're probably not really tuned in for the thing, right? And I want to be formatted well, and I want to have good grammar and all of that. But reality is, I don't even speak that way. So when you read it, you're going to think I'm doing something I didn't do in real life, and that's not true. And so I love that Nick does that. But that's the other thing, guys, not just in your publishing, but in your life. Who is dictating how you move? Are they trying to edit it for you? Are they telling you, no, not like that, do it this way? Or, oh, no, you would be better if, and they add that little cherry on top without permission? Think about it. You will write your story either way. You need to figure out what you want to write down. You need to figure out what's allowed in the narrative and what isn't. And right now, I got a lot of stuff I'm seeing where I'm like, I don't think so. I'll be honest, guys. I'm saying I don't think so, because I wouldn't act that way on a playground. I wouldn't act that way in my own boardroom. I wouldn't act that way with my team. I wouldn't act that way with you guys. Now, there's other times where I do put my eyebrow up or I say, oh, no, sir. And that's for me to decide when that happens. It's for you to decide when it happens for you. But I'm seeing a lot of people where I'm like, I'm seeing actions that I don't want to align with in the world today. And it happens all the time throughout history. And you have to decide that for you. But history will tell us either way, whether you decide to get active on this storytelling or if you let somebody else help dictate how it goes. History is going to show us in this moment. And it could be growing businesses, helping other people's stories come to life like Nick is. It could be Jackie and I doing the emotional women and talking about these emotional moments that really push us. It could be Felipe and I talking about careers and chaos and coaching and trying to help you find that job again, because here we are looking at an environment that looks to me a lot like COVID did. Mass layoffs happening without any understanding to the public as to what the real effect's going to be long term. Because the truth is, I know for every government employee laid off, there are private, like us. We support the government with contracts and businesses and sustainability and things. And so I haven't finished seeing the ripple. And I'm talking as a coach and consultant, as somebody who's a certified or a former certified staffing professional. I've lived through these moments and I have had to help my clients rise through them. And they did successfully and had the best years ever in spite of COVID. However, it's going to be an uphill battle for a minute, guys. And you have to determine what you're going to do with this time. With every mass layoff, there are still mass new businesses being made. Nick is proof. In the same month that we're hearing layoffs are happening, we're seeing a new publisher launch her business, right? I'm out here growing my YouTube channel. We're starting a new book this year about our being more than our diagnosis. And I say our because I'm in it. That's going to be the third book for me. Now, I also have to say, because I'm about to join in on a book that talks about a diagnosis, something that could be used against me by employers, something that is no longer protected in DEI initiatives in the way that I formerly had protections when I said yes to the initiative of writing the book. I am very mindful of what others behind me who may not even be as confident as I am to speak my story publicly about what I face. It's a lot, guys. What happens if the wrong people hear that I have arthritis and that it hurts at the end of the day when I've been standing for 12 hours? Like, a lot of people out there live that life. A lot of people have pain before they even have to stand, which is also true for me. But what if somebody used that against me to say, no, you're not capable of the job I've been doing for a year and a half? Now, I don't believe that would happen because I work for a phenomenal organization that has not shifted DEI initiatives at all. They're still there doing it, but others may not feel that way. And so for me, I'm mindful. I'm going to share my story in spite of what I'm seeing, in spite of the fact that it could be used against me one day. But everything can. And you know what? That fear is never the way Melissa moves. And none of my network either. Because if you look at the comment section, we do things that scare the crap out of us all the time. We talk about things that really are a little risky to some on a professional platform. Nick, you push boundaries sometimes, honey. You don't take the status quo either. And that's what I love about you is you have your show. It's coming back this week, right? Sunday, tomorrow. I'm going to unmute you. Where are you?
I'm here, and yes,
Okay.
it is. And again, there's just so much I could say. Like, no, I walked away a few weeks ago, and my tagline says everywhere across social media, I can, not despite my bipolarness, but because of it. What does that tell a potential employer if I put myself open to work? You know what that does to me? It tells them, don't approach me to hire my beep if it is that you have a problem with that. That's what that tells me. And for as much as there are companies out there that won't touch you with a 10-foot pole or may even get rid of you at the moment, which will suck for a little bit, there are far and few in between, but there are those employers out there that will take a chance to look beyond that, look at the content, look at the skill set, look at the recommendations, look at the previous places you've worked, and come to the conclusion that, you know what, this person is somebody that I want in my organization. And why wouldn't you want to work for an organization like that anyway? If you ask me, it just eliminates all the companies that I don't want to work for.
I have said that time and time again, guys. Speak your piece, because if they're going to screen you now, let them. I wouldn't want to work for an organization that's not going to allow me to do LinkedIn the way I do LinkedIn. It's not an option for me. This is who I am. I am a coach. I have been since I was a young girl who was the eldest cousin in a state, and all the young ones were behind me. I was teaching them from tying their shoes to buttoning their shirts to cleaning up behind themselves, right? All of that has naturally been a leadership thing I've taken on, and it's grown through everything I've ever done. I've always pushed myself a little harder because I think I was raised by grandparents who told me, job worth doing is work doing well. I had a grandmother who gave me the eyebrow I give all of you. It's genetic. It came from her first. And when I saw that eyebrow, I got to moving. I think the eyebrow came up when I wasn't moving the right ways. And I think that's the part that we're missing a little bit of, guys. If I could say anything today, and I'm going to get a little emotional, I miss my mom and my grandmas right now so much because they were the ones who taught me the difference between right and wrong. And I feel like those kind of humans are harder to find today, to see. It's not true, right? I see a lot of really good humans out here, but sometimes it just feels harder to find them. And so I will say this, if you're not seeing the light, find it, right? In the dark, I search for the light switch. I do. I feel around until I find it, and then I turn it on. If you don't see light, become the light. Go seek it out, go find it, turn on the switch for somebody else. If you need help, reach out. Number 2, Jackie and I are coming back. We're coming back with the Emotional Women. It is going to be on the 9th. Okay, so I want you guys to get ready because we are coming back. It's going to be 4 p.m. Pacific is what I have here. So Sunday, March 9th, 4 o'clock. We're going to go for an hour. We're going to talk about stuff. If you want us to cover anything specifically, you're welcome to reach out to us. As always, it's something we want to do to serve you, but we got a lot to talk about. And Jackie has been traveling and we have been on hiatus, but this is the year we said we're coming out strong, and that's what we're going to do. So stay tuned for that. Go follow the Emotional Women's page if you haven't. It's here on LinkedIn. Go check it out. Also, go check out my YouTube, guys. I know Felipe said he only has a few 50 or something. Poor guy. You should follow him on his YouTube channel. But I think I have 15, and I don't want Felipe to keep beating me. Oh, I'm at 16. I have 16 subscribers. So, guys, if you haven't gone over there, go do that. I have some shorts, some stuff you haven't seen. They're over there. They're going to keep getting built out, and I'm going to do some other stuff. I also have playlists on the Document the Knack channel where you can see some interviews I did before on camera, where you can actually see me talking. So I'm excited, but guys, it's okay. And it will be. It's going to all be okay. Maya Angelou had the quote that said, "Every storm runs out of rain." And if I can leave you with anything, I want to leave you with that reminder. Life is not perfect. It is not always rosy. It is not always something we can handle cleanly, clearly, because it gets messy. We get emotional. It gets chaotic. Heck, these photos you see of me right there, that's tears that were legitimately in my eyes that day when I told my friend, I'm trying, I promise. Because my friend asked me to confirm I was okay. I too have bad days. I too get emotional. And you know what? Emotional doesn't always mean bad things. And I want you to remember that we're going to cover this. Emotional is good. It's exciting. It's positive. It's fun. It's passion. It's sadness. It's anger. It's frustration and everything in between. So join Jackie and I to do this. Come check out Nick's show tomorrow. I'm pretty sure Felipe is going to go live with his Social Saturday chat, which if you listen to the beginning of the book reading, you know I'm a big fan of that place. This place on a Saturday. So check it out. If you're not on LinkedIn, guys, if you're following me on Facebook, hi, welcome. Keep coming back. If you're on YouTube, thanks for subscribing, liking, sharing. Let me know what you think. Leave it in the comments. Try to be kind to somebody today. Pick one person and do something nice. I don't care what it is. Maybe listen to why people who aren't maybe sitting in your circle, right? Who are on your team, your side, in your mindset, are feeling the way they're feeling. Just take 2 seconds to hear somebody out today and understand where they're coming from. Because even if all you do is listen, that is kind. Even if you don't agree, but you let them speak their side, it is kind. And that's all I'm asking for. So go be kind. Come back soon. We'll see you next Saturday for sure. And then go subscribe to all the people who came on stage today. Guys, if you shared your story, if you were in the comments, I appreciate you. Keep coming back. We're going to jam out though. I'm going to leave you with the video. This is probably one of my favorite songs. I shouldn't love this song as much as I do because, you know, it's about me. And I feel a little big-headed when that happens. But listen, go check out documentthatAct.com. I'm going to jam out. I'm going to play this song. We're going to go. But I will see you next time. Take care, guys, okay?
Sunlight creeps through my window pane. Dreams of stars, now a faint refrain. Coffee brews and thoughts collide in this early morning ride. Wake up world, let's start the day. Insight flows in a bright array. Questions dance like morning dew. In this space, it's me and you. Coffee chats with Melissa. Every cup was a whisper. Conversations open doors. Spilling thoughts forevermore. Ideas bubble crisp and bright. Words take flight in morning